Hello, everyone. You're welcome to another good episode of Just Unsecure security series. This is an interview series, and we're happy to have you join us. Please remember, follow, subscribe. Today, we have a special guest that is going to be talking to us about national policy and strategy. When it comes to security. So we've been able to identify someone to come in and educate some of us. And then I think it's going to be a good episode for all of you. Now I will pass it to Babs to introduce our guest for today.
Wow. Our special guest for today is no other than Olusegun Olugbile, and is one of the pioneers of cybersecurity in Nigeria. Is the MD and CEO of Araba Technologies, is an executive, the executive chairman of the Data Analytics Privacy Technology, president of the Global Network for Cybersolution, a member of the Board of Directors, International Center for Emerging Technology-FUT, Minna, a member of the National Cybercrime Advisory Council, Presidency, since 2015 till date, a member of the National Committee on the Review and Development of Cybersecurity Policies, Strategy 2014 and 2020, a former member United Nations Internet Governance Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group to UN Secretary General, member and fellow on Digital Economy, Abuja Chambers of Commerce and Industry and International Chambers of Commerce, Nigeria chapter. I'd like to say welcome to this great edition we're going to have with you, Mr. Segun. How are you doing?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming on. Is there anything we've missed in my introduction?
Well, not really. So far, so good. I'm quite surprised that you had it all. Except that you guys want to confirm on me another title.
After this interview, we might have to.
Babs, I heard about something, the other time we're talking, I think his close caucus was calling him ambassador.
Yeah. So, yes.
So we have an ambassador in our midst as well.
Great.
So welcome, Mr. Segun.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So today's topic, like we're talking about, is about the national cybersecurity policy and strategy. We know you've been one of the pioneers of this pushing cybersecurity policy and strategy in Nigeria. We would like to, maybe for the viewers and subscribers, kind of walk us through the history of how we started, and the vision you have in terms of the cybersecurity policy and strategy in Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much. I don't really know where to really start it from. Well, let me take it beyond 2014, when the first cybercrime working group was set up by the then administrations of former President Olusegun Olugbile. And as at that time, there was an effort to set up a national cybersecurity program, which was domiciled within the Office of the National Security Advisor. And thereabout, and then let me say this, that they actually laid the foundation to some extent, but they were unable to really come up with a strategic direction. They laid the foundation in the context of bringing the issues up to the level where the executive government, at that time, the National Executive Council, got to know about the need for Nigeria to have a cybersecurity framework in place. And then fast forward to 2014. And but before then too, we also, from our own organization, the Global Network of Cybersolutions, took it upon ourselves to do a private sector-led advocacy on cybersecurity and the need for the country to have a national cybersecurity strategic policy. And that took place in 2008. And since then, I think we have been embarking on one advocacy or the other, ensuring that the government listening, and I'm happy to say that as it is now, the government has really taken up the program that has to do with cybersecurity, and we have a lot of things in place. So there are give and take. I would say that the cybersecurity program journey has always been very challenging. But let me give it to the government of Nigeria, because far back in 2014, there was an effort to set up a national cybersecurity program, vehicle, which unfortunately it happened when the country was planning to transit into another government administration. But I can tell you that in 2014, first articulated framework was released, in which I had the privilege to lead the effort, and then with the Office of the National Security Advisor. And then they came up with a national cybersecurity policy and strategic framework. Then that led to the production of the first version of that framework. Then fast forward to 2020, and we had another one in which I was equally invited. Same Office of the National Security Advisor also review the past efforts, and they updated the what need to be updated, and they will give you another framework and another programs, which maybe for us, initiatives and programs the government has articulated for national cybersecurity.
This is a very interesting detail. That means, Babs, things have been going on since 2008, as they has mentioned, but that is a long time ago. So it's been a journey, and we really appreciate that dedication for you to be all through that particular journey up to this point where we can have something to talk about as the national cybersecurity policy.
Absolutely.
But I will ask a question. Is this cybersecurity policy and strategy follow any other framework in the world, or it's just standing on its own?
That's a very good question. There's no way a cybersecurity programs that is built on a strategic framework start on its own. It's not possible, because cybersecurity, when you say cyber, you're not talking about domain that is peculiar to your country. You are talking about domain that is well connected with other domains. So in that context, the cybersecurity program, referenced lot, in fact, over 250 frameworks, and a lot of consultations were made. Apart from the local, community stakeholders, consultations were made as in, assessing various work that has been done across the world. You talk about the US framework list. You talk about the European, framework. You talk about Asian, Pacific Asian framework. Then you talk about those countries that have similar economic problem compared to Nigeria, like India and Malaysia. Then you also have other African countries like Kenya, and then you have South Africa. So, we had a wide consultations, and that is actually the main essence why the committee was set up. And the essence is to ensure that they reference and study various, programs and actions that have been taken by, other clients. And let me also say that as at the time that Nigeria started the first, cybersecurity policy, that was in 2014. We had very few, frameworks, across the globe that we can really, ride on. Cybersecurity is something that is new. It's not something that any nations has, always been done before. Even US. At that time, I remember that US too was trying to, operate in a trial and error approach and all that. So in 2014, we have, scarcity of frameworks. What we have at that time, there was sort of consultation based on corporations and based on the bilateral or multilateral, discussions and all that. But fast forward to 2020, then we had lots of countries that have done a lot of programs that have really been matured. But let me also say this, that the national effort in 2014 also contributed to the body of knowledge across the globe. Because I can remember that some of the countries in Africa also, learned from what Nigerian do. They reference Nigerian programs, and they also, learn from a lot of things that we have done. So as it is now, the national cybersecurity policy that has been mainstream really referenced a lot of fields. So these have been considered before the final launch of that.
Thank you for that detailed knowledge. But there's one thing now I want to deep dive into it. Now the policy itself, is it an overall arching policy that covers the cybercrime within Nigeria itself, or is there other is it the overarching policy for cyber security in Nigeria, or there's another act or another law that oversees that the cybersecurity policy and strategy? And if that's the case, are there any other, I would say maybe other policies that are underlying of that cybercrime policy that people should be aware of?
Yeah, as it is, the National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy is the overall overarching direction, and it clearly defines the actions based on activities and programs that all the components and elements of the goal of government needs to take, and then also define the underlying actions, the contributions from all the elements of the country, be it private sector, be it government, be it the top sector like NGOs, and be it individual. So it is an overarching, document that define and give us a national roadmap on how cybersecurity programs should be implemented and should be coordinated. So it provides that a kind of coordination framework, because really the country cannot do it alone. So you might probably even have another policy because really private sector has always been having internal, cybersecurity strategic framework to drive the internal enterprise risk management and all that. You also have other sections of government or agencies of government. They might have, and I think they have, their individual agencies, cybersecurity police. But when it comes to national cybersecurity program, now that coordinates the entirety of the effort and activities has to do with cybersecurity in Nigeria. It's a one-stop shop, and it's a one-stop roadmap for the entirety of cybersecurity program.
Okay, it is the national cybersecurity policy and strategy, and we all know, well, not we all, I'll say implementation is sometimes the most difficult thing within, say, Africa, should I say. So how has implementation been like, and how is implementation? What are the phases or the stage of implementation of the cybersecurity policy and strategy in Nigeria as we speak?
Okay, thank you. Well, let me say that by way of experience, Nigeria has learned from what they have done in the past, around 2014, where we had cybersecurity policy and strategy, but without, a particular direction, without a plan. And then the questions was that who should do this, who should do that, even though we have the National Cybercrime Law, which is called Cybercrime Act, which clearly identify who should be responsible for coordinating the cybersecurity program among the security law enforcement agency. But when it comes to the, having a national, coordination, you also have that being put in place. But however, looking at the current effort, you actually have three elements now. You have the policy that define the intent of the government and what the government seeks to achieve in the context of national security and economic interest. Then you also have the idea about the initiatives and programs on how the government will achieve those strategic intent. That is the second, which is a strategy. Then you now have the plan. The plan and define the scope of work and who should be responsible for this and all that. And the timeline has been clearly, defined. So I can tell you to an extent now that the implementation of that plan has started. Already we have sensitization going on. Already we have the need to implement the establishment of National Cybersecurity Commission Center, which is at the front burner now. At any time, any moment from now, I have that center announced by the relevant authority of the government. Now have cybersecurity manpower development framework, which has been well defined within the plan. And then within that, you have a National Cybersecurity Training Institute, in which the framework is already being prepared. And now you have consultations with the key stakeholders in the private sector and consultation with the international, community and partners. So by and large, now the plan gave us 4 years, and we are in the first leg of that year. Now, I can tell you that to an extent, some of the plan, the element of this plan, they implemented stage by stage.
I like that. It's really interesting. One of the things that caught my attention, what you just explained now, is there's consultation going on. We're in the first year of the implementation, but also the coordination with the public sector. I want to go back to that because you mentioned something like, okay, the public sector already have their policy. Was there any kind of consultation prior to this time of the implementation? During the policy and strategy formation, or it's just been done now?
Yeah, in the how can I put it now? Before the activity got started, I'm talking about before the preparatory process for, developing the document. I'm aware to an extent. They've had stakeholder consultations, and also some were invited to present insights. And some of these insights are in form of paper contributions, in form of the areas of the strategic importance that the government should look into. For example, some presented that they need to have a data governance framework, which has never been part of the earlier framework. Some came out with infrastructural intelligence framework, which is not part of what was before. And some, various aspects. So there are consultations. But the problem is always that the timeline, the time, is so limited for that. But I also remember that after the development of the first draft, they also had another consultation, which they called validation process, where industries, members of the committee were invited, and input what the first draft was reviewed before the final draft was submitted to the authority, and then even right there, it's a continuous process. It's a continual, review. What I would just probably say that I would challenge various stakeholders to continue to review the cybersecurity programs. Because the better we review it, the better we give ourselves the opportunity to have a more, enhanced, national program. So it's not end in itself. This is just the beginning. It will always be subject to review, and this is where the scholar need to do and play their role. The captains of industry need to also play their role. Then the professional in the industry too should not also, stay on the sideline. They should also play their role. You see, technology is always evolving. Cybersecurity is highly dynamic. So we will continue to subject that document to review. We talked in 2014, we're talking about the framework on cloud computing. But now we're talking about the artificial intelligence. We're talking about emerging technology, framework. These are things that no policy can single-handedly cover all. But the more we see some of this technology coming in within the context of what will affect our national security interests and national economy interests, then we'll have to talk about it and also advise government appropriately.
Thank you very much. There's a follow-up question that I have on this. We have different kind of people that work with the government, especially when it comes to contractors, when it comes to foreign agencies and all of that. During the implementation of this policy, are there going to be any form of certifications for those category of those that deals with the government of Nigeria, whether they are foreign or local? Is that part of the policy and framework, or is there something else that will take care of that to make sure that everybody adheres to the policy and the strategy?
Yeah, thank you very much. When it comes to policy is a high-level statement of action. And the strategy, put that high-level action into how those actions need to be managed. And then you have the layer, which is implementation. Now, within the context of implementation now, you now have the implementers. Now, the policy has taken into consideration all elements and all stakeholders that are critical to national cybersecurity. Be it individual, be it businesses, be it government, be it agency. Now, when you talk about third party, well, let me talk from the context of data protection and privacy now. See, which is still part of the framework of the entirety of national cybersecurity. Because in 2014, a whole chapter was devoted to data protection and privacy with lawful interception. But now we have it more, refined, where there's a provision now to have a data protection law has to be in place. Now, the data protection the policies that the data protection bill covers the responsibility and action expected of all the elements, of all the individuals involved in protecting data. Whether the company, which is called data processor, whether the data controller, the one that holds data, or the data subject, or the third-party contractors or subcontractors. So data, something I knew that the cybersecurity policy took really cognizance of is the weakest link, which is the human being. As long as you have human being driving all the elements of programs and economy activities, everyone has one way or the other, or one role or the other to play. Now, there are directives that are inherent within that policy. A directive for compliance, a directive for reporting internet incidences, a directive on action that has to be taken by the board of management of many organizations in Nigeria. They have responsibility that is conferred on them in terms of regulatory responsibility, and then responsibility that they have to also, be held, for. So everyone is responsible. But however, the level with which everyone will have to get involved will be determined by how critical your operation is to national security and economic programs. Remember, Nigeria is rolling out digital economy now. Now, before the digital economy, the Nigerian population on the internet was about over 170 million subscribers, and we have internet penetration always growing in Africa. We are one of, if not overall, largest in Africa. That's before the digital economy policy was mainstream. Now that we have digital economy, it has skyrocketed. Then you have the 5G, which by according to the Honorable Minister, very soon by next year January, it's roll out. See, by the time you have all that, I can tell you, you are going to have more responsibility. In fact, there will be demand more on action, on government to take action on cybersecurity. So I think as it is now, every element of the country has one role or whatever activities to really perform with.
Absolutely. And you touched on my next question slightly. You mentioned that, yes, we are moving into a more digital economy. So from your own perspective, what would you say the current status of our cybersecurity environment in Nigeria is? Would you say it's fairly good, it's good, or it's perfect? Obviously, I don't think it's perfect, but what from your experience now, knowing everything you've said?
Well, I have to talk from the perspective of evidence-based reality, and then for what we have observed. Now, from the evidence-based, really, if we look at the state of cybersecurity in Nigeria, I can tell you that at least there's a report issued out by, I think, one of the African reports, which focused on on Nigeria. And the reports says that, there's a cybersecurity crisis in Nigeria in the context of skills, in the context of having a skilled manpower that can address and tackle the emerging cybersecurity risk. Now, also, as organizations are deploying, technology here and there, for example, you're going to have the IT-enabled system now, which is already in action. By the time you have 5G, you're going to have... So the cyber environment of Nigeria, it's so pervasive. But let me touch on one that's really giving us a lot of problem in Nigeria. So when people talk about cybercrime, see, from the current analysis, really, we have not gotten to that level. We can say that we really have a cybercrime pandemic, if I can call it like that. What we are still at the level of scam, where people scam people using psychology and all that. But when you get to the level where some people, develop a ransomware code and they'll use that to hijack maybe a regulatory agencies like CBN or like NNPC, as it happened in US, and then, we don't pray for that. So currently, what we have in Nigeria is issues of, I won't call it Yahoo boys, because Yahoo is an organization somewhere. You have issues of social media crisis where people use fake news and all that. And then the fintech, you have another dimension of crime where credentials are compromised and they are used to track and deceive people. People engage in a compromise of a fintech infrastructure and all that. A lot of things are happening along those lines. So the cyber environment of Nigeria is really pervasive and it's increasing. Our vulnerability in that context is increasing. And then within the National Cybersecurity Program, 7 areas have been identified as areas of risk, which has to be addressed. And they have been prioritized accordingly. And for example, you have cybercrime, which is now, it's at the level of financial crime. Then you have, cyber terrorism, which you know about the about the militants using the internet for malicious activities for communicating and brainwashing and information and all that. Then you have child online protection, where you have, social media abuse of the young ones on the internet and all that. Then you have cyber espionage. And this espionage might be a private sector-driven espionage. Espionage need not to be country to country. It might just be a corporate espionage. You see, you see 2 competitors trying to access the same market and seeking dominance in that market, and they provide now service to deal with each other. So, and they also have, all the zero-day attack, compromise of system without the knowledge of even the manufacturer of that software. And they exploit it against so all these things are pervasive, cyber threat scenario, which if not worth taking, if we don't prepare ourselves now, they can escalate to become a very big monster. So the National Cybersecurity Program has identified those areas. And then one area I also would like to touch on is on cyber defense. Before, what we have, just a pocket of, effort from the military trying to do literally to cyber crime, forensic, but now the cyber defense has been elevated as a critical, as a part of the national cybersecurity architecture, in which cyber defense now has its own, policy, has its own strategic framework, and then it has been polarized a little bit so that it is a little bit separated from, domestic, strategy on cyber, security, because we really need to develop our cyber defense capability. So the Defense Space Agency, which is an agency of the government responsible for that, is doing a lot. Now they have their own center, they have their internal, cybersecurity infrastructure, and I'm aware that they keep on developing capacity and all that. And then the policy has mandated them to build, substantial capability within the time frame of time, within the time frame. So all these things combined together with the domestic, or what I can call civilian response to cyber threats. See, these are the whole essence of the National Cybersecurity Program operations and the direction provided by that strategy.
Oh, okay. So let me just like, just to be clear, does Nigeria have a cybersecurity control center as we speak?
Well, yeah, we may not call it control center. It all depends on the nomenclature you may want to call it. Well, I'm aware that Nigeria has NGSAT, which is called Nigeria, Nigeria Computer Emergency Response Center.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm also aware that Nigeria do not have a single point of cyber control center. You know why? Because a single point will also result in a single point of failure. If we have a single point action, then we're also exposing ourselves to high level risk. So what we have now, we have the NGSAT as a national coordinating, SAT, but then we also have a SATORIA, SAT for sector, a sectorial SAT, that is a SAT system that's defined within the context of the sector. For example, the financial industry, you have regulator in charge of that. CBN has its own SAT. NCC is in charge of in charge of telecom. They have their own SAT. NIDA in charge of the IT, IT services and IT industry, they have their own SAT. And then we have, in fact, as I'm talking to you, even the organized private sector is planning to set up what they call OPS SAT for business community. Because ideally, businesses will not be comfortable to be coming to NSA or to go to CBN or whatever to report an incidences. They will prefer to address incidents among themselves. So right now, one of the areas that my own organization is working on is to develop OPS SAT, organized private sector SAT, for business community in Nigeria, which has that discussion has reached an advanced stage. So you have series of cyber control center, or what I would rather prefer to call cybersecurity center, CISO. Even banks now internal CISO, where they used to, address their own internal, incidents and all that. But the most important thing is that all these elements of SAT, all those various SAT, they have been captured within the framework of the national SAT, and that national SAT is now, the NGSAT is mandated to coordinate effort, and so that anyone that has to do with national security threats, or anyone that has to do with economic threats, or anyone that has to do with political threats or socio-economic whatever threats, will be handled by the national SAT. And then you have, different level of, you have different levels of reporting. You don't report all cybercrime in the country to national SAT, but it is when you have different level of threat grading. You have different level of threat analysis and grading of threat and all that. When that threat is elevated to the highest level, at that level now you can signal to the NGSAT, they will take an action. So that's one essence of having sectoral SAT, to handle specific incidences within that sector. And I think it's growing. And these are what will become the backbone of the cybersecurity industry as Nigeria is unveiling this program.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. I have a follow-up question on that. Since all of these are going to be set up, and most likely, 100% I can say will be manned by human being. So you mentioned something the other time as well, that there a need to build capacity. We have skills shortage. So what has been done towards this? You mentioned like maybe some level of education parastata kind of to upskill. I want you to dwell on that more because most of when we know in Africa, which you have rightly said, we do not have that kind of capacity or skill level to manage security.
Thank you. For me, I would rather prefer that we classify these skills in different categories. Far back in 2008, we talk about cybersecurity skills. Yeah, there was nowhere you find that. But when you take it from that 2008 to 2021 now, we have a series of different skill sets in cybersecurity, and then you have various applications. You have even people by themselves seeing cybersecurity as a rewarding, career. So you have universities setting up cybersecurity centers. At least I'm aware of some university in Nigeria that have set up cybersecurity programs, academic programs and all that.
That's really nice.
Cybersecurity here and there. But my concern is this. We have, let me say for the sake of our discussion so that we can, get it quite well. See, cybersecurity skill acquisition can be either technical or management or just a general cybersecurity and all that. Yeah. What you have in most cases in Nigeria is a management aspect of cybersecurity. Where people go for CISO, people go for SACA programs, management the risk and all that. And we have a whole lot of people in that. In fact, they form association, they are growing well and all that. But when you talk about core skills, you see, cybersecurity does not respect your management. To some extent, it can deter. But there's something that we call a backdoor. Once your credential is compromised, forget it. Look at the business image scan. Say, despite the various layers of risk management framework or activities that has been laid in an organization and all that, you still have a business image scan. It's pervasive. What we are saying is that there's a need for us now to move from the management to build the core technical skills. And that is what cybersecurity policy is hammering on. Is hammering on building a framework that will focus on core skill. We need software coders. We need guys. We need skills. We need a formulation. We need to even identify skill set policy. We need to identify the skill set. What are the skills that constitute the technical cybersecurity? And we need to elevate it to the level where they can be formalized, where it will be a rewarding experience. That is the essence of having cybersecurity industry, so that this industry will be classified as economic sector. Then you also need to now begin to have a kind of accreditation process for the skills, so that they are built within the framework of standards. And then when we do that, then we can now start talking about Nigerian building technical, we have about the skill. But what we have now, to someone like me, let me speak for myself now. Really, what we have now is a foreign-dominated risk management frameworks, and in which millions of dollars are, being taken out, in the context of you having to do programs, having to do annual applications and all that. And you see, they are good, but they are just one of the layers. But there are more critical layers that need to be built. You see, network security, software security, you see, access control, engineering. You see, how do you build all those things? These are the core skills I believe that the current effort is looking at. So that is one reason why a national framework on establishing National Cybersecurity Training Institute. And that institute is to set the parameter right and define a national criteria or requirement. Even you have various you have all manner of standards in the countries. But then how do you now measure the standard that fit into our own national requirements? These are the things that at that level, at the level of national cybersecurity program, this is one of the framework that is seek to achieve. Define the national requirements. And then once the national requirement is defined, then set up the skill set policy that will define the skills that are needed, strategic skills that the country will need. The one the skill is identified. Then how do you now build, how do you now build the skills? And how do you now formalize the skill? Then when you formalize the skill, how do you accredit the skills so that you separate it from those who have, like I said, cybersecurity is good. Everybody can have skills here and there. But Nigeria is still building, we're still, we are yet to get there. We are still building a foundational, platform in which the core skill in cybersecurity can begin to mesh. We want to see cybersecurity skill, being run by the university on real core technology, on not perpetually, how can I put it now? Let me put it on the generic technology. On the generic technology, not on the proprietary technology. Proprietary technology is good, but when you combine the two of them together, at least let's start from what we cannot control. Yeah. See, what we can control, we can learn that, but what we cannot control, let's pick capability on that. Then we can begin to move from that and move to the domain of those things that we cannot control so that we can assert, our own skill there.
Wow. Yep. I'm definitely with you on that. I think we should be able to carve a niche of power, not even a niche, I'll call it a niche, but be able to do what we want to do within the African perspective. And we talk about it on this platform a lot. Like, we know that in Africa, yes, we do have the skills, like you said, but most of the time it's mostly management, not actually the core skills. And it's good to know that there are the strategy and institutes that are looking at developing core skills needed within the within Nigeria, or should I say from an African context. Because we're rounding up, I don't know if you want any follow-up question, Yemi?
I know. I think the last question can be asked from him. I think.
I know we have lots of people in our show are mostly focused on people in the diaspora and young professionals as well as experienced professionals as well. How can they get involved? Because that is the thing most people we all want to support something that from any African perspective, how can we get involved in any of the programs that are being thought of within Nigeria?
Okay, that's fine. First, I think the diaspora, I've always been pushing strongly, even at the council, that we need to have more, consultation with the private sector. We need to engage and bring in more professional into our discussions. And but from our own hand, from my own organizations, because we represent the Cybersecurity Advocacy Group, which is part of what the question you asked. And we are working on the initiative to set up a national association of cybersecurity industry. We're not going to replicate what people are doing. We know that we have lots of certification here and there. We're not running certifications. What we want to do is to bring our industry from, is to bring, nurture the backbone of the industry, those that will constitute the operator of the industry. Because the most important is that once you bring out the industry, and the industry is recognized and formalized appropriately, and then it has a rewarding system, then it will be attractive to the Nigerian diaspora. I have a lot of friends that are working in various multinationals across the globe. Of recent, on my LinkedIn, I started something like a movement, which I call National Association of Cybersecurity Professionals. And the idea behind it is to bring professionals across the globe and Nigerians together, because the essence of it is to now build a companion, a kind of list of the registered cybersecurity professionals anywhere they are, because the industry being built will require the skills of those professionals. My message to the professional in the diaspora is that let them begin to connect back to the country. Right now, the cybersecurity industry in Nigeria is going to be massive. Nigeria is still a very green land. Then you have a West African corridor in which Nigerian skills, of course, when you check the profile of those that are in the LinkedIn profile, you'll be amazed that you have Nigerians that have managed, and people in Nigeria that have managed multinational hard companies, cybersecurity hard companies. They are there. So we keep on attracting them. But where we are going sincerely is to now, find a way to build an industry setting so that we begin to have industry-focused association. And like I said, it may not necessarily be for me, but at least for the younger one and for the emerging companies that are coming up. We have a role to play, and you guys also have a lot of roles to play to communicate this to your colleagues across the globe. That right now, there's a channel through which they can connect directly with the government, and they can, take advantage of what is coming out from Nigeria. Nigeria's cybersecurity is massive. Nigeria is the biggest digital economy in Africa. Nigeria now, as it is now, by the time Nigeria roll out fully its digital economy strategic plan, what are you talking about? The foundation of that digital economy is security by design. You can't do it. So the economy is very huge. But like I said, we need core skills. We need risk skill. We have thousands of Nigerians that are into management, risk management, and all that. I can tell you they are doing wonderfully well. But we need those guys who really possess real core skills, technical skills, software skills, the skill that could secure and safeguard the infrastructures of Nigerian economy. So like I said, once we collaborate together across the globe, I believe that we can achieve it. But watch out. The cybersecurity industry that's being mainstream, I can assure you, it will have all companies, all individuals, all organizations that are operating cybersecurity in Nigeria, and it's going to be very massive.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But I would like to ask, because some of our subscribers might be asking, where can I get more information around everything we've talked about, the strategy, the technical schools, the education, the enforcement, the plan, and all everything. Of that? Yeah. Yes. Where do you think it could be a point of contact to be able to get this information?
Okay. To have direct information about government action on the policy and all this stuff, I think they should go to sat.gov.ng. PERT, sat.gov.ng.
Yeah.
Now, so have information from people like me. I think the best thing is to follow my LinkedIn, because what we have done is to, LinkedIn is such a big ocean. By the time you throw something into the ocean, nobody sees. But when you create a network, the group, then you see that once you see Association of Nigerian Cybersecurity Professional, so that group, we are trying to demarcate it from the ocean so that the relevant information will be thrown into that group. Right now, we started that group just about a few weeks back, but the information about 5G directly from the minister, the information about the HINA directly from the agency and the colleagues that are working there. These guys are our colleagues. You see, they are talking directly, and these are the way you can have direct information that has not been, mixed with social media.
Social media,
or whatever and all that. So they can follow us up, and then they can also follow you, because at the end of the day, you are now connecting directly. Let me give an example why they need to follow us. As it is now, Global Network for Cyber Solutions is an organization that's representing cybersecurity advocacy in the whole of Nigeria. Take away the government, non-government, all non-government interest is rest upon the global network. So, which means that if you follow our network on LinkedIn, the reason why we use LinkedIn is that we can see your profile straightforward. We can easily profile you, so that before you join that network, all we need to ask you to do if you're a professional, let that be one evidence that at least you are in cybersecurity profession. At least one certification, whether be it local, be it international. Once you have it, you are by default, you are inside it. Then along the way, we are going to now start processing people into different segments of professionals. So that, when government asks for skills, we push it to them. Now, see, you are talking about debt of skills. I don't think we have debt of skills. What we do not have is an enabling environment, an attractive, economic environment. Put the economy right. These guys will connect back to the country. And I've been receiving a lot of calls. Among those calls I have received, you are part of it. And within the little time that we created that network, you called me. If not for that network, how would you have called me? And I have other guys from UK, they have called me. I have other guys in US, they have called me. Because of it, we have formed about 6 offices in 6 continents for the global network, so that if there are information they need to have, if there is a connection they need to have, once you get in touch with our vice president across, whether in UK, in US, or in Asia, Hong Kong, we have office in Hong Kong, or in Europe, there, in Germany, you can always have information. And then let me put it to you that we also like to have your contact as part of our contact, so that when people need to connect directly with what's going on, connect directly with you, you will have direct information about cybersecurity programs in Nigeria. And I can tell you, the world of cybersecurity in Nigeria, the economic value of what's going on is more than over several, I can't quantify it, several billions of dollars of investment in cybersecurity. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This, to me, I'm sure we can go on, because I know there's lots of more information and discussion we can have on this topic, but we're always limited for time. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for coming on this session, and everything for me, it's been educational. I didn't know that, our cybercrime policy and strategy was at least going forward to this level. So that's good information to have. And all the other things you've mentioned as well, how to get information from CERT-NG, CERT-Gov-NG, as well as the LinkedIn group as well. We will put everything within our within the comment page, so that every follower will be able to see more information. And thank you, Olusegun Olugbile. And I would say he's the man that has driven, or one of the pioneers of cybersecurity in Nigeria. Is definitely a welcomed discussion. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have any last words you'd like to say before we close this from yourself.
Well, thank you very much for giving the opportunity to speak with you. And let me also thank you especially for being good ambassadors. You see, I'm called ambassador because of what I'm doing in cybersecurity and internet governance. When the UN got us recommended and all that. You see, to be outside there, I know what you guys are facing. I know how terrible the operating environment that can be. But you choose it, you decide, on your own and by yourself to ensure that a program like this is mainstreamed, not in Nigeria, but in Sweden, if I'm correct. I think you are doing a great job. And I want to encourage you to continue. And I want to promise you something. I'm going to share information directly, breaking news that has to do with cybersecurity right on your channel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any last comment?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking time out to talk to us. It's really a delight. We would like to have you back very soon. At least we know this is going to progress a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.